Well, hello guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is going to be a review of season 13 episode 2, Real Housewives of Atlanta. I believe it's entitled New Peach in the Orchard. It's something about an orchard. I told y'all, don't get me to lying like I'm going to keep up with these titles, but it was something about a new peach in the orchard. I believe that was the title. So last episode was kind of serious. We got the heavy stuff out the way, and now this episode we're back at it with, the usual, the drama, the light shade, all of that was there. We got to meet new cast members, Peach Holder, and Drew Sidora, and a friend of the show, and Latoya Ali, right? Well, we're going to start off with the beginning of the episode. And again, just want to say this is a review, so I'm going to touch on what happened. Not going to be a blow by blow. I got my trusty notes, so hopefully I don't forget anything. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my notes. So Cynthia's having a little spread at her house. Kenya comes over. She's with Latoya. They drive up, and Marlo's also invited. She shows up, and we have Drew. Drew shows up as well. Now, what I found interesting was that Cynthia has an assistant. I know she's had businesses. I know we have the wine business, but just seeing her have an assistant was kind of, it was like, oh, okay. It was just a little clockable, just a little bit, but keep that to myself. They immediately shady route. I love the shade that even production, like everyone's in on the shade in Atlanta, so even production throws shade, and I love the shade that they threw by flashing back to how Kenya was with past new members or new cast members, and she just really didn't like anyone, and it was always something. It was always just combative. It just never was pleasant. And I like that they gave us those flashbacks because even Cynthia's like, all right, you just met this girl, you're already at the she's already been in your house, she's already like, y'all already buddy. What is all of that about? And I feel like it's very strategic of Kenya to befriend a new girl, even though she hasn't in the past. The hubster was actually watching with me, and he said from what he noticed, all the people that they showed were either equally as famous as Kenya, equally as accomplished, or even more accomplished than Kenya, where they were a threat to her in some way, shape, or form. Either they were just as pretty, if not prettier, or younger, or they had the marriage and a picket fence type of relationship that seems to be a threat to Kenya. So in Latoya, she's not getting that, because yes, Latoya has a huge YouTube following, but even as I was on Twitter, as I live tweeted, I was noticing that there was really no one in the comments who knew her, who was familiar with her. A lot of people were saying like, oh, she was just being extra, and we'll get to that later, but I just felt like that realistically, Kenya befriending Latoya is very strategic. Cynthia's about to get married, and Cynthia gives me very much, when I'm with my man, I'm just with my man. She's bi-coastal, all of that. So Kenya getting a new friend, someone else to film with, very strategic, very smart on her behalf. So I did like when Cynthia said, she was like, all right, Latoya, pump your brakes a little bit, because Latoya was coming up a little strong. Like, I don't know you yet. I'm getting to know you, just pump your brakes. But Cynthia came on a little bit strong in the beginning with the friend contract and things like that as well. So when you like somebody, you like somebody. But I did like that, and I did clock the light shade. I don't know if Latoya clocked it when Latoya said something, and Portia was like, oh no, Kenya was like, oh, she's gonna get along good with Portia. I was cackling. I was like, girl, she calling you dumb. she said you a little not too bright, but I don't know if anyone else clocked it, but I did. Oh, what I skipped over, the taglines. We got to see the taglines. The taglines are better than they have been in the past. Last seasons, I hated Cynthia's only time I look back is at the, oh, that was terrible. At the past, I'm like, you say look back, I'm like, look back at it. Look, you could have said anything better than that. Oh, so hers is better this time. She's like, now she's over the hills. Candy's was better than it was. Like, don't check for me, or she had to check for me. I really didn't like that. I thought that was just easy. I don't know them all off the top of my head right now. I'm gonna need to hear them a couple more times before like I commit it to memory. But of course, my favorite is Portia. I may be social distancing, but I'm here for social justice. And I was like, right on, Portia Luther King. You go, girl. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. We get to see a flashback of Cynthia's event from probably like a year ago, and we see that Eva actually introduced Drew to Cynthia. So she's met her in passing. Like Shay later, where Kenya's just like they don't know each other. They're not right in the same circles. They just never pass, never cross. Even Drew was saying like I don't know her. I don't know her. You know. But it was interesting to see, and we know that happens from time to time. What happens is that friends of friends, you know, you have a friend, this is your girl, you're on a show, hey, can you film? However, it's mutually beneficial. So, you know, that tends to happen. Some people make it on a show, some people don't. And Drew actually makes it on a show. She says she had some offers in the past to be on a show, and now it's just aligning now. So they meet up and they're talking, and Cynthia goes immediately into like, oh, how's your sex life doing? And I'm just like, you're not the horned up one. Don't start. Like, I don't need that from you. You're a woman in your 50s. I'm not really quite sure how old Drew is, but I don't need horny Auntie Cynthia. That was just like, all right, okay. Talk about something. Leave that to Candy. Like, that's Candy's thing. You be just the peach, the southern peach, and just child and sweetie. That's what I need from you. I do not need horny or Auntie Cynthia. No, thank you. So we flash back to Drew. We start getting into her storyline. We meet her mom, Pastor Jeanette, meet her husband Ralph. She has 3 children, 1 child from previous relationship, and she's with her fine-ass husband. People had to point out that her husband is attractive. He is. And Drew is beautiful as well. And we see the dynamic of their relationship with the mom. And so it seems like we have another overbearing mom, but it's not in a Mama Joyce way. Like, I can deal with Pastor Jeanette so far because she only says what she needs to me. I don't know if she oversteps, but we will see. I'm sure we'll see that play out. So far they just look like a happy family, and yeah, I'm excited to see what the storyline with Drew is. We get to see some of her resume. Like, we know she was T-Boz. She was Drew Sidora to me from the game, and Latoya points that out as well. Like, oh, I don't like you from the game, she says to her. And like, yeah, like Drew stole Derwin. But what stood out to me so much so with the game was the fact that they just kept calling her Drew Sidora. She was just never Drew. It was Drew Sidora. I'm like, they was trying to make her that girl even back then. And I'm just like, why is she that girl? Like, that never dawned on me. And I want to know, like, is she a singer? Like, we really didn't touch on singing because I thought that that's what she was, a singer, up and coming singer. But like, they just talked about her acting and how she's doing more acting and she wants to do more acting. So that's I want to know what happened with the singing career. They go back to Portia's storyline of activism, and Portia got arrested, and she got to meet Breonna Taylor's mom, and she just realized that even though she was scared, and even though, you know, she's putting herself, you know, her safety on the line, it's like it was a bigger picture, and the fact that Breonna will never go home. Breonna will never have that comfort of her family, and that was deep. You know, it's like we do look to these shows for the light fun and the light shit, but it seeing like that Portia has a deeper calling on her life, I really did enjoy seeing that. She goes to home and she's talking about her experience with her mom and her sister and little baby Pilar, and she calls baby Pilar Pee-Pee. And I'm like, Portia, not Pee-Pee. No, do not call her that. I can't stand when people call their kid doo-doo and stuff like that. Like, PJ it's fine. Please don't call that child no Pee-Pee. They started talking about Dennis as well, and girl, I'm really just not here for that storyline. I kind of zoned out a little bit. I just didn't care. Be with the man or not be with the man. That's your decision. I don't really like. I was like, it was a little snooze fest for me, that part. So I just was thinking, I just remember seeing Mama Diane, I believe that's the lady's name, going up the steps. I'm like, Mama's still thick. Look at her, still snatched. I love it. All right. So we're back at oh, before we get back to Cynthia's house, let's talk about Riley. Congratulations, Riley. I love seeing Riley graduate from high school. Her high school had red on, and Mama Joyce and Kenzie goes to the graduation, and Kenzie is getting emotional. Her oldest, her baby, is graduating and going off to New York. It's an emotional experience. It's a milestone as well, and she's really happy for her daughter. Riley all grown up. Look at Riley, and I'm not going to comment on Riley's look. I wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't for everyone clocking and everyone having something to say about it. I probably wouldn't have noticed Riley's look. When I see Riley, I just think, wow, she's a tall, thick girl. That's all I think. I don't really see anything else. But yeah, there's been a lot of comments about her new nose, and to each his own. Her mama paid for it. The one thing I would say is that Riley is coming across a little money hungry, and she's a rich child, but it just was like I didn't like that more than her altering her appearance. It's just like, girl, like you rich, you don't have to worry about your future, but always concentrate on money. I like the scene where they're giving her gifts, and Kenzie gives her flowers. Mama Joyce is there, and you know, Mama Joyce is saying how she hopes to see the graduation. She said, but child, I'm old. That was funny. Candy gives Riley the flowers, and Todd gives her the stack. And Riley was like, hey! I'm like, watch that. I was like, look at you, Todd, being a good old stepdaddy, is coming with the cash. It was very cute. And Mama Joyce is always good for a good kiki. Mama Joyce with the whole covert. I'm worried about covert. Covert 19. I'm like, okay, Mama Joyce. And of course, Ace and Blaze, very cute. So of course, here we go. Same old Kenya, new season. And Kenya is like, she was underwhelmed by Drew. And then Latoya was like, oh, what's that? Look at, she got a pet on her head. I'm like, Latoya. Now, like I said, I'm familiar with Latoya. I've watched her channel. I'm subscribed to her channel. I know Latoya. Latoya is an instigator. Like, she will instigate. I watched Latoya be with one friend talking about the other friend, be with the other friend talking about the same friend she was just talking about the other friend. Like, Latoya is a class A instigator. She's messy. She's with the shit. Latoya already started, and people were just like, oh, she's so extra. No, she's Trinidadian, she's loud, that's who she is. Her channel is Latoya Forever. If you want to go peek over there, you kind of got to go back, because once she became like housewife, like, you know, a housewife in real life, she's a married woman, she toned down a little bit. But if you go back to them old, like 5, 6, she's the same person. So she was being herself, and to me it was refreshing to see, because people come in and, you know, they're edited versions. They're so worried about how the public's going to perceive them, or if the other housewives are going to like them. She came in right off herself. She didn't need to warm up. She just was, that's her. So, you know, like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's just Latoya. Like, that's just who she is. The hubster was like, oh, they wanted, he could tell they wanted younger women. I'm like, you don't even watch this show. How do you know? Well, people have been speculating that, yeah, they want a younger woman, you know, they want a different dynamic. And I felt like they just hit it out the park with these two. I like them both so far. Yeah, but of course Kenya's underwhelmed. Marlo is just, whatever y'all paying Marlo, give her more. I just love Marlo. Marlo is shady. Marlo, she was not, I was like, not Marlo warning Latoya about Kenya in the kitchen. Like, no. Talking about don't trust her, don't tell her all your business. And she's like, she couldn't keep a man if Jesus paid her. I said, Marlo. I love it. I'm like, Marlo gave me a good laugh last episode and good laugh this episode. I'm just like, yes, she don't need no peach. Just keep doing what you're doing and pay her properly for what she does. Other notables of the luncheon at Lake Bailey was Mike and Ralph. Mike being Cynthia's fiance and Ralph being Drew's husband, going off to have a talk, and Mike just seemed relieved to have another male. They're like, oh yes, let's get away from these women and their craziness, because LaToya up there twerking, it just was a lot. And they go to talk, and they're talking about relationship, how hard it is, and Mike is being transparent. He's like, yeah, I'll be here for you. I liked the fact that Mike wanted to be a sounding board. I don't think that's the term he used, but I butcher stuff too. And he wanted to be there for Ralph, like, hey, reach out. He's like, I done been married twice and it didn't work out, so yeah, let's talk about it. So I did like to see that. I like to see male positivity. That was good. And then they start talking about separation. So Kenya's separated from her husband. Also, LaToya is separated or going through a rough patch with her husband as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Adam filed papers. He filed for divorce, but it's sort of in limbo. And she just was like, yeah, I'm gonna just be doing me. I can do what I want, and just whatever separated means, you can be out there. And I was like, Drew was being very serious. And sometimes I think with someone, they don't know each other, but it's like, at that point, they've been drinking a little bit of wine, and sometimes some people are serious, but they're not. I kind of got like LaToya probably was trying to be more funny than anything else, and Drew was very serious because marriage is serious. She's taking her vows seriously, and she's trying to explain the sanctity of marriage to LaToya, who was just like, separate, I could do me. And it's just like, girl, you not doing nothing. You go back to the house with your husband, it all sounds good. But they kind of hit a rough patch there, but hopefully they'll work it out and we'll see them be friends later on. I feel like a couple other things happens, but it's not really chat worthy. I think we touched on all the major things. What I did not like, the major thing that happened in the episode was the argument between Ralph and Drew. And now they're supposed to be celebrating their 6-year anniversary, and they have this nice dinner laid out. There's rose petals, really romantic, the balloons on the wall. It's nice. And then they start to get to arguing about, just Drew feeling like he not telling her where he was at, and when he left, never really got to the bottom of that. And it's just a rough patch. And I'm not that chick, and we were talking because it was good that the hubster was there when this happened, because one of the things I said to him, like, I'm the type of female that I'm just like, say what you mean. What do you mean? What are you really asking him? Are you asking him really? Does it like he said, like, what does it matter where I was at? Yes, I think it was more important that he didn't tell her. She didn't know he left. That's more important than where he was, and she kept going, where were you? So what's your concern really, Drew? Say really what you feel and mean about it. Like, was he with another chick? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did you go when you left this house and you are not here and you did not tell me why? That's what you really need to get to the bottom of. And I just kind of felt cringy just watching them argue. I'm like, this is a little bit too much too soon. Like, we're just meeting you, and I know it's supposed to be reality and this is real. If this is really where they're at in their relationship, yeah, they're not faking or fronting. But I kind of like the first episode, y'all already fighting. I was just like, ooh, already Twitter don't like him. I think they're putting him in the same category as Tommy, LaToya Luckett's husband, where they don't like him, another attractive man that people don't like. And I'm just like, wow, you don't want to get into that zone where just meeting you and already you're not likable. So we will have to see. Next week's episode looks like another fun episode. We got booties out, jumping in the pool, just women having fun. So I am looking forward to it. I enjoyed this episode. I did see a couple people saying it's boring. I'm just like, what do you want from them? Like, what do you want? If this is not for you, go watch another show, because I didn't enjoy this one. I definitely enjoyed this one more than last week's, and I'm looking forward to next week's. Let me know your thoughts on this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me know your thoughts on this review. And guys, as always, if I don't catch you, you will catch me in the next one. Thank you so very much for watching. Later.